Greetings, grave robbers. Welcome back to the television graveyard. I am your lone TV necromancer, TV's Noah Houlihan, and we have gathered here tonight to exhume the body of past television shows to see which ones could be resurrected, should be resurrected, and which ones should just stay doomed. This is a podcast where we analyze the history, the hype, and the aftermath of shows that ran only one season, sometimes even just a single episode. And this shall be a light walk through the television graveyard as we are seated here in the Netflix plot to dig up the body of the Queen's Gambit. So this is a new thing that we're doing. This is a Stay Doomed light. This won't be as big of a deep dive, blow-by-blow, scene-by-scene review. This is a show that I really wanted to enjoy that didn't really fit what I believe a Stay Doomed episode should be because this was a limited series. This was based off of a book and was never really planned to be a second episode, or second season, rather. That being said, you could say basically the same thing about Stranger Things, and that went 5 seasons over, 28 years, I think? In any case, this is a look back at the Queen's Gambit. I watched this one alone, so that's why Laura's not here, because Laura has nothing to say, because she didn't see it. So I'm going to take you through my thoughts of the Queen's Gambit, and hopefully get you a bit hyped for the quest, which we're working on and should be coming out soon. So let's talk about the Queen's Gambit. I think the Queen's Gambit is not what I expected it to be. I'm going to let you know right now, I'm a big fan of Anya Taylor-Joy, so I was very excited to see her in this. I also love chess, so I went in there with my chess brain open. I play chess every day, in some regards. I might just do puzzles or something like that, but I do really love chess. I am not good at it. I actually used to play chess against our Patreon subscribers for a little bit and often lost. But I do love chess, so I thought this show is going to be right up my alley, so I have to spend some time with it. It starts very awkwardly, in my opinion. It's a 7-episode run. I'm here to see Anya Taylor-Joy, even though I struggle to pronounce her name, apparently. And it starts with her, waking up in a bathtub and being late for a chess game. We then cut to the past where she is 9 years old. So we actually don't get a lot of Anya Taylor-Joy in the first episode. We spend most of the time with 9-year-old Beth Harmon. Now, there's a bit of an awkwardness to this opening. 9-year-old Beth Harmon is in the back seat of a car that her mother is driving. She tells Beth to close her eyes, and she crashes the car on purpose. She survives, but her mother is presumed dead as her body is missing. Now, here's the issue. You are opening this show called The Queen's Gambit with a woman doing something unexpected and then going missing. I immediately think, oh, okay, so she faked her death. Spoilers, if you're here to enjoy the Queen's Gambit through me, she's dead. She's definitely dead. It was just a very interesting way to start because that's where my brain went immediately, and that is not the case. 9-year-old Beth Harmon is taken to an orphanage. And this kind of starts the trend of this show. This show often creates this feeling like it's going to be miserable. It's the story of a sad orphan who lost her parents and tries to escape through chess. Honestly, that's not what this show is. This show is surprisingly, very positive. There's a lot of, joy in this show, besides Anya Taylor. And the people in it are not evil. You kind of keep expecting the evil person to show up, and they just don't, which is very interesting. So, in the first episode, we see that Beth is a curious little girl, and she ends up doing chores like you would at an orphanage. You get sent to do chores, and she ends up in the basement to wash something, and she sees the janitor playing chess by himself. And she just kind of like views him. His name is Mr. Shabble. And wonders why he's playing chess alone. And he basically explains to her that like he's looking over past games and trying to figure it out. She then starts to take every opportunity to go to the basement and kind of get a view of what is happening and try to learn the game. So over time, she starts going back and is saying things like,
I already know some of it from watching.
Girls do not play chess.
That one moves up and down, or back and forth, all the way if there's space to move in. But that one can only go up. That tall one can go any way it wants.
Like trying to like get the rules together of, how does chess work? Mr. Shebble doesn't want anything to do with her, so keeps sending her away. Now, in life in this orphanage, she meets Jolene, who's her like only friend in this show, and they are constantly given food and drugs. Like one is like a vitamin, and the other is a tranquilizer. It's a blue pill that is a tranquilizer. It's red and blue. It's very Matrixy. And Beth kind of enjoys how the tranquilizer makes her feel. But she also starts squirreling them away. Like they're meant to just kind of keep you calm and complacent and things like that. But she realizes if she squirrels some away and takes like 3 of them, then she'll get a high off of that, basically. Now, as she's going down to the basement, she eventually gets to a point where she convinces Mr. Shabble to let her play. And in doing so, she starts to kind of understand the game. It's weird that we never actually have a full explanation of the rules to her. So, like, I don't understand how she's going to figure out en passant in this situation, or how she's going to figure out, like, castling or things like that. But she starts to play, and in her first game, she loses the queen. And Mr. Shabble says, you don't get to play anymore when you blunder a queen like that. Which is, like, so untrue. Like, I understand, like, if you blunder and you're just like, well, now I am lost, and realizing that you are lost. But especially when you're just learning, there kind of needs to be like a, well, is there more I can do from this position type feeling. Also, like, you are training the audience that the name of the show is the Queen's Gambit. And one big element of a Queen's Gambit is the Queen's sacrifice. Like, the Queen is an 8-point piece. It's the most valuable piece on the board besides your king. And tricking your opponent into capturing it when it actually weakens their position is a great chess strategy. To set that up in the first game she plays really makes you think that either 1, she is pulling a Queen's Gambit, or 2, later you'll see her sacrifice a queen. That doesn't really happen. I hope you're excited for all this chess talk, because it is going to be very chess heavy. We're just getting started. It then turns out that she's using the tranquilizers she can kind of like hallucinate. Because when she looks up at the ceiling has a checkerboard pattern. So she replays the games that she played and like looks for the mistakes that she made so that she can improve upon herself and her game. It then starts to play out that as she continues to play the janitor, that she is brilliant at chess. She is absolutely unbelievable and a savant. We establish that she has already surpassed the janitor, and the janitor like can't believe how good she is. And he brings in like a chess coach, or the leader of the chess club at the local high school, to view how good she is at chess. And they're impressed, and they're like, oh my god, we need to like have her play against the chess team so that she can teach people, like she's such a savant. And you're fully expecting the conflict to show up now. Like either the janitor's going to take advantage of her skills, or the mean old lady that owns the orphanage is going to like slap her with a ruler and be like, ladies don't play chess. But that doesn't happen. It's just like, yeah, okay, yeah, interesting. You know, I want her supervised at all times, but if she is that brilliant at chess, I don't see any problem with her going and playing with others. It's like, oh, okay. No conflict? Cool. So she goes to the high school, and they have her play chess against like 10 people at the same time. This is like a big Bobby Fischer like chess trope. Oh my god, they're brilliant. They're playing 5 games of chess at the same time. Oh, that's incredible. Which, side note, there is a bit of a scam you can pull when playing multiple games of chess at the same time if you're not that great at chess. This is a strategy I believe Dan Brown explained, who you might remember from The Push, that we covered here on Stay Doomed. But he would play multiple people at the same time, and he was a decent chess player. And the people that he was better than, he would beat. But when playing multiple grandmasters, he would just mirror the moves of other grandmasters. So if one grandmaster was playing white and the other was playing black, the two grandmasters didn't know that they were actually playing each other, and Dan Brown was just copying the moves. This would guarantee either a draw for 2 games or winning at least one of the games. So whenever you see the people that like, oh, I'm playing multiple games, and you know, if they beat everybody, that's impressive. But if they're like, I'm going to try to win a majority of these, there's a good chance that's what's happening. In any case, Beth Harmon destroys this entire chess team, which is a bit strange to be like, yeah, she, in her first time playing someone other than the janitor, wipes out this entire chess team on her own. Very impressive. She's gifted at chess. The other thing that's happening at this time is the tranquilizers are made illegal at the orphanage. So the orphanage immediately complies with the law. So you would kind of think like there would be some sort of evilness to the orphanage. They're like, oh no, the kids need the tranquilizer, so we're going to do it illegally. No, they're just like, oh, okay, I'm sorry, we're trying to do the best with the law. If we can't do this anymore, we won't. So they just don't have the tranquilizers anymore. She kind of goes through like a withdrawal and realizes that while they are illegal to be given the tranquilizers, they still have the supply they used to have. So she breaks in and tries to like put some in her pockets so she has them for later, but gives in to the temptation of the tranquilizers and then just eats like handfuls of them. Like she eats the tranquilizers like Buddy the Elf eats the chocolate spaghetti. Okay? She gets caught and then passes out. She passes out apparently for like a full 8 years, because we get Anya Taylor-Joy when we come back and her story of getting adopted. But this is the major pieces we're putting in place. The name of this episode is The Opening, or Openings rather. And this is going to set the tone of the game that Beth Harmon's going to play throughout her life. Beth Harmon is a savant at chess. However, one of the things that makes her great is the use of the tranquilizers, because it kind of puts her in a headspace where she can imagine the games better and like imagine them on her ceiling. So what's really making Beth good? Is it her skill or is it the tranquilizer? And also, using too many tranquilizers leads to bad. So just like any chess opening, there are advantages and there are weaknesses. And that is the game that we will see Beth Harmon play out. We then see, in the next episode, Beth trying to get adopted, or about to be adopted. The orphanage lies about Beth's age and makes her younger than she is, because, you know, once you reach a certain age, there's less interest in adoption, which is such a, like, good guy move by the orphanage. It's just so rare to see a non-evil orphanage. Like, how many non-evil orphanages have you seen? It's always like kids getting rescued from orphanages. The only nice orphanage I can think of is Foster's Home for Imaginary Friends, which isn't even really an orphanage. So it was very refreshing to see, like, oh, look, it's a nice orphanage. She gets adopted by this couple who, it's very clear that, like, the husband is kind of getting a daughter to give his wife something to do while he's away on business. Like, I guess she didn't want a puppy, so she's getting a daughter. So now we see Beth Harmon trying to live the life of your typical teenage girl. She's going to school. She's not very popular. She has basically no relationship with her dad. Like, they do a great job filming this, that, like, whenever they're sharing a shot, they're very far away. Like, they're rarely even sharing screen time. But, like, there's so much distance between Beth and her adopted father. But she gets along with her mother, even though her mother drinks. So there is kind of this, like, repeated theme of addiction. Now, Beth, not very popular in school, doesn't really get along with anybody. Like, no one really talks to her. There are popular girls that they're not interested in Beth. But in one of my favorite scenes, as we'll bring up later, she goes to a convenience store to pick up something for her mother. I think like cigarettes, booze, something like that. And she sees that he has tranquilizers. I was like, ooh, I want those. And that reminds her of, like, chess. So she goes over and she picks up a chess magazine. And the clerk behind the counter says, like, this isn't a library. So she buys a newspaper and sticks the magazine in the newspaper, because newspapers were like a nickel, and steals this magazine. She then learns that there is a chess tournament in town. Now, here is where we get the scene that is the preview scene anytime you scroll over Queen's Gambit on Netflix. It is a pair of twins that are like, yo, you're just a beginner. You can't play professionally. And she's like, there's no rule against it. I want to be in the big leagues. They're like, okay, you're going to get slaughtered. And she's like, no, I'll do it. So she pays an entry fee. That's a big point as well, is that she had to borrow money from her mother so that she could be in this chess tournament. Her mom doesn't really get it, but eventually lets her. And they pair her with the only other woman because there's a lack of respect between, these people who are chess, athletes and this new woman who's wandered in out of nowhere. The woman that she plays against has to explain the tournament rules of chess to her because tournament chess is very different.
I don't understand about chess clocks.
Oh. The clock face nearest you measures your playing time. Each player has 90 minutes. After you move, you press that button on top, and it stops your clock and starts your opponent's. And you see that little red flag over the number 12 on each clock? Well, yours will fall down when the 90 minutes is up. And if it does that, you've lost. Oh, it's touch move.
What's that?
Don't touch a piece unless you're going to move it. If you touch it, you have to move it somewhere.
Okay.
Also, that you then write down your chess moves because if there's any incongruency, both players are writing down their moves. Also, in tournament play, you don't say check because you assume that the person you're playing against is good enough to be aware of a check. So this nice woman makes sure that Beth Harmon knows all the rules, and then Beth just crushes her. Like, we don't see the chess game. She just gets crushed. And she's the first one to be done her game. She goes up to the twins out front and is just like, I'm done my game. Here we go. And they're impressed. We then go through the process of her, winning bigger games. And then the boss of this level of the chess tournament is Harry Beltic. And you're like, oh, Beltic's going to be here. You can't just expect to win this. And eventually she moves into playing Beltic in the finals. They have this battle back and forth, and it gets to a point where Beth says,
I think that's it.
No, I can get out of this.
I don't think so. Maybe, if you'd gotten here on time. It doesn't work. I don't have to use the queen.
Move.
I'll just cover it with the bishop and...
Move.
A few more moves play out, and Beth goes,
Do you see it now? Or should we finish this on the board?
And he surrenders the game. Let's talk a little bit about chess now. The chess in the Queen's Gambit is accurate. If you ask like a chess expert about it, it is accurate. The games that Beth Harmon plays are actually based off of like very famous chess matches. So you can go back and study it and compare it to these games and see the same moves play out and how, they're super efficient and things like that. That being said, the only reason we know that is because nerds like me pause the video and calculate where the chess pieces are. It is not filmed right. Like, you don't see the battle of the chess pieces. You don't see, like, Beth looking at the board and where the board is at and seeing the calculations she's making to, win a game. Instead, you stay locked on Beth Harmon's face and her opponent's face as their hands move across the board, often off screen. This is an interesting way to film chess, in my opinion. I want to compare it. Get ready for this. I want to compare it to the movie Creed. Creed has a scene in it where Michael B. Jordan is having a boxing match, and the camera never cuts. And it is one of the greatest portrayals of boxing I've ever seen in film. Because we are on the ride the whole time with Creed. Like, we're in there when he's throwing punches. When he is in the corner, you see how briefly of a moment he has to recover before he has to take the coaching that he's getting from the side, reevaluate his body, think about what just happened, and get in there and try to improve on what just happened. It is a great portrayal of the sport of boxing from the perspective of a boxer. If you don't care about the Rocky movies, if you don't care about Creed, I recommend at least watching that scene. It's awesome. We do not get that with chess and in the Queen's Gambit. And I really like chess. Like, maybe I wanted more of a Gotham chess match where, like, Beth Harmon screaming, "The Rook!" or something like that. But we don't see that. There's also a great video by Frederick something. He does the Down the Rabbit Hole series of videos on YouTube. And in this video, he covers Deep Blue, which is the computer that was made in the 70s, the chess computer that was meant to, like, defeat a grandmaster. And there was a epic battle between this grandmaster and Deep Blue. And he breaks down every move. He has the board on screen and explaining the thoughts behind it. And he had me on the edge of my seat screaming about a chess move that took place in the 70s. A chess move that was 50 years old. More than 50 years old. The idea of showing chess that way is very exciting and what I wanted out of this show. That is not the path they decide to take with this show. To me, what they're trying to kind of display is Beth Harmon's chess is Walter White's meth. It's Tony Stark's arc reactor. It is a thing that they understand because they are them. And you don't get to understand it because you won't, because you're not them. It is the idea of hiding Beth's brilliance in a way to show that she is so brilliant it is incomprehensible. To give you the chess is to give you the ability to try to pick it apart. And they want the chess to be a thing that you can't understand because she's so good at it. I personally wanted to see the battles, but I understand the director's choice to present chess in this way. It's not about, rook captures pawn on d4. It is about the brilliance of Beth Harmon existing in that moment. What is also very interesting is when Beth Harmon wins, everyone's cool with it. Like, you're totally waiting for, okay, Beth Harmon walked into this boy club and embarrassed everybody. They're gonna flip out. And everyone's like, yo, Beth Harmon's awesome. Look how cool Beth Harmon is. She just walked in here and whooped all of us. Wow, that's pretty swell. Which is, again, not what I was expecting out of this. Because the show is so oddly positive. We then have this thing where she basically goes home and she's like, hey, I won, Mom. I won us some money. And her mom kind of like perks up and is like, you won money, you say? Well, maybe you should keep playing chess because money's good. We also get introduced to a character that I didn't really super care for. D.L. Towns, I believe is the name. A reporter who is basically coming in and reporting on this. He pops up a lot. I just don't find him as interesting. I have some things to say about him later, but it is what it is. So we move on to the next episode where now we're having Beth Harmon. I didn't really explain who D.L. Towns is. D.L. Towns is a reporter, writes stories about Beth Harmon, kind of builds her up as hey, she might be the next big thing in chess. And now Beth is going to try to prove that, because now Beth is going to Cincinnati, I believe, is where we start, as she starts to tour as a chess player. And turns out she's really good. She's really good at chess. She is trying to set her sights on this big open in Las Vegas. What this episode mostly is about is Beth, like, is cool and lots of good things happen. Like, you keep waiting for the moments where, like, things get bad, and they don't. We see that she is coming to terms with a bit of her fame. There is a really interesting scene where her school is starting to take notice of her, and she's making friends. And there is a bit of, like, mean girl to it. Like, maybe they're making fun of her because she's a girl who's into chess. Maybe they're trying to, like, bring her down a peg or two because they're the pretty girls and she now has a special thing. Maybe they're trying to ride her coattails. It's not clear. It ultimately doesn't matter because, like, Beth goes to a sleepover with the girls. The girls are all interested in boys. She doesn't care. She goes home and lays in her bed and looks up and thinks of chess. There is this weird decision where, like, the shadow of a king is over her, almost like it's a sexual experience. I don't know why they did that. Like, I don't think she's, like, aroused by chess. It's just her passion. And I think that's what they're trying to go with, and they kind of tie it into, like, a sexual thing, but I don't know. I thought that was weird. As she is continuing on her winning ways, she travels a lot with her mother. She's winning tournaments all over, and the twins pop back up. This is I don't even think they have full names. It's like Matt and I'm looking Matt and Mike, because they're twins and their parents didn't like them. They only had one name ready, so they named them similarly. Matt and Mike. Matt and Mike kind of show up, and her mother's like, well, come out with us. And they all just kind of have a good time. Like, you're waiting for a shoe to drop, but her mom is cool, the twins are cool, and the twins are supporting her. There's a bit of like a, hey, sorry we weren't cool in the beginning and doubted you. But they were never, like, rude to her. They never made fun of her. They were legitimately kind of looking out for her. Like, hey, if you're new to chess, play in the amateur league because we don't want your spirit to be broken if you get crushed by the best in the area. And they continue to have her back in this. And they, like, support her as she's going into these more difficult tournaments against harder people. I think the metaphor here is these are her knights. Like, the twin knight attack is a common chess strategy. Knights move in an L, and it's very easy to link your knights so that they're protecting each other at all times. And then they kind of twin their way around the board. So I think these are her knights. She then has this talk with her mom, and this is like the real moment where you're like, oh no, here's where it falls apart. Her drunk mom and Beth are on a plane, and she's like, hey, if I'm going to take you around here, I feel like I deserve a percentage of your winnings. Like, I feel like if I'm the one investing in you and helping you get around, I feel like I deserve part of your winnings. I want, and forgive me, I don't remember the exact percentage that she asked for. And Beth is like, really? I think you deserve a little more than that. And they're like, oh, thank you. Love you, sweetie. And then that's it. Like, you're so sure. Like, here we go. The drunk mom is about to Macaulay Culkin her adopted daughter and use her for her own game. And it doesn't happen. She, despite being an alcoholic, is a great mom. Like, there's lots of moments in this show where she's like, will you explain what happened in the chess games to me? And Beth is like, I know you don't understand. And she's like, yeah, I don't. But I like hearing them from you, and I like spending time with you. It's like, what a supportive mom. Like, I'm sure we all as children had a hyper focus that we went to our parents about, and they were like, I don't care. I don't want to hear about your Pokemon types or your D&D campaign, you know. But her mom is totally in. Granted, it's making her money, but the fact that they have like this adult conversation that doesn't lead to like, you're stealing all my money, is insane to see in media these days, because the show is so positive. She does eventually go up against another like big name. I believe this is in the Vegas U.S. Open. She goes up against Benny Watts. I'm going to try really hard not to screw his name up. I know a wrestler named Benny, and I know a wrestler with the last name Watts, so I keep wanting to use their names. But Benny Watts is going to play Beth Harmon in the finals, and this is the only time where I feel like there's a breakdown in the connection between the show and with chess. Beth Harmon talks about this game she plays with Benny that she loses. And she says something along the lines of, I was playing and felt my heart racing, hoping that Benny didn't see what I was doing. Hope is a weird word in chess. It's almost a dirty word in chess, is hope. Because one of the worst things you want to play is hope chess. That is where your strategy involves making a move and then hoping your opponent does this, rather than always assuming your opponent's going to make the best move. That is how you play chess, is you should really think that you're the other color. If you're white, you're playing black. If you're black, you're playing white. And you're just like, okay, if I were to move my rook here, how would I respond? What would be the best response to that? What would I do? Does that leave me vulnerable? Do I benefit from that move in any way? Does it weaken him? Those are the things that you should be thinking. So to hear Beth Harmon say hope, I was kind of like, But she does lose the game. So you could also say like, this is a weak moment here in Beth Harmon. And Beth hadn't like lost before. So Beth kind of like loses herself a little bit in this loss. She's not used to losing. She was really counting on the money made. And now she's not going to get that prize money, or at least she's got to get less. So this does kind of send her on a bit of a spiral. Like, she doesn't know exactly how to deal with things. She's also now learning that being the best in America doesn't mean anything. It's being the best in Russia that makes you the best in the world. So they also start setting up Borgolf. Borgolf is the big bad, like the final boss. Often lurking in the background in shadows like he's Moriarty. It's very well directed. So she's dealing with the fact that she lost. There's like a feeling of, does she want to even continue? And I'm sorry if I'm saying this out of order. I just want to talk about my favorite moment in this show. She becomes a sensation. She's winning all these tournaments. She only lost to Benny, who's one of the best in the world. She ends up back in her hometown, where she ends up at the same convenience store. And behind the counter is the same clerk, a little bit older. And he just kind of says, like, I've seen you. You're really impressive. Like, Doesn't quite say like, I'm proud of you, but it's kind of just like, hey, I think it's cool that you're here. I do know who you are. And she says like, thank you, and buys a chess magazine. And he says, oh, you're actually going to pay for it? I thought you would just steal it again. And him saying like, by the way, I knew you stole that magazine and didn't say anything, was just so beautiful to me. Where he was just like, hey, I know I gave you a hard time that day for reading in the store, but I understood you wanted the thing and I didn't say anything about it. So at a loss to my store, I let you steal it. And you know what? I'm glad I did, because look at you now. That is all captured in that one sentence. And Beth buys the magazine and pays for the magazine that she stole. She's like, hey, for the one I stole as well. And he kind of smirks and puts it into the cash register. And then we never see him again. That is a wrap on this dude. And I was like, man, that's a beautiful scene. It's nothing but positive. Like, in a world where there is so much darkness in our media, to have just this like wonderful, wholesome scene, I was just like, oh, that was warm. I really liked that. So I know I'm not leaning too much on the addiction thing, but like that is constantly a battle. We go on a bit of a spiral where things are bad. And I don't have notes, so I'm sorry if I say this out of order. But this is an interesting thing that I don't know if I'm interpreting this correctly. She has to play Benny again. She has to play Benny Watts again. And Benny is like a chess, like, I don't know. I don't want to say he's not like a master. Like, that's not what I'm trying to get across here. Is like, he's the chess cool guy. Like, he's a chess globetrotter, like Harlem Globetrotter. He just like loves just kind of doing like silly chess things. So like he's doing puzzles in like a bar because like all the chess people are there. So it's not weird that they're like, let's get drunk and play chess. And Beth gets challenged to speed chess. And there's kind of this feeling of like speed chess is a different game. Like it's the same rules, but because you're going so fast, it's more about instinct than analysis and things like that. They kind of have this disagreement about it, and Benny kind of keeps prodding Beth to play speed chess with her. And eventually, after being goaded a few times, decides to play. And they're playing like $5 a game. And Beth loses to Benny over and over and over again, but keeps paying to play more. And Benny's just crushing her and crushing her and crushing her and crushing her. And then after, a couple of drinks and many, many defeats, they finally get to the tournament finals. And we don't even see the game. We see them sit down, they shake hands, and then we smash cut to, hey, Beth won. Was this a Queen's Gambit? Was this all a plan? Did Beth Harmon keep Benny at the bar, drinking, and play these games over and over again so she could identify the weaknesses in Benny Slater? I said I was going to say the wrong name. Benny Watts. So that she could defeat him at the tournament. Maybe. We don't get confirmation of that. We get hints of that a little bit later. But I want to bring up that that's a very interesting thing. Unfortunately, Beth's mother does pass away from the alcohol. So things get sad. There is some darkness in that. But Beth decides, like, if I'm going to get better, I need to train. I want to beat the Russians. And she goes in and she starts living with Benny in New York. And Benny's like, I have friends that can come over. We can all train you. We can do all this other stuff. And she's like, okay, fine. Yeah, we'll train. Whatever. Whatever you say. Yeah, we'll do some training. I'll be fine to play the Russians in a tournament. It'll be fine. Benny brings these friends over. And Beth is like, let's play speed chess. And Benny's like, that's not what we're here to practice. He goes, nah, I want to play speed chess. I'll play all of you at the same time. And we'll play for however much money. So now she's playing 4 games of speed chess at the same time and winning. I think this is an FU to Benny. Kind of being like, yeah, remember all those speed games where I was losing? Well, now I'm doing 4 at a time and I'm crushing. Do you think I was losing? Do you think you were beating me? Or do you think maybe I was letting you win so I could see your gameplay? That's my implication. It could be just like, hey, look how much Beth has grown. She was losing to Benny at speed chess, and now she's beating 4 people, including Benny at speed chess. Man, she's better. I kind of like the Queen's Gambit approach here, where she's kind of like, hey, I played you. She eventually does play Bulgakov and lose in a tournament. It goes maybe they draw, I forget. She doesn't win. That's what's important. Now, she gets a lot from Benny. She also gets a lot from Harry Beltic. He kind of like becomes like a chess bum in his words, where he's like helping and then like backs away and it's just like, I couldn't get to that next level. I kind of want to say that Beltic is a pawn in that like he couldn't promote even though he helped Beth. Meanwhile, there's a lot of things that Harmon gets from Benny, but she also gets a lot from Towns, the guy, the reporter guy that is also building her up. You have Benny, who improves her chess, and then you have D.L. Towns, who improves her standing. They do like her appearance, her persona. They help her in 2 very separate but like similar ways. Also, Benny is like a cowboy always dressed in black, while Towns tends to wear white. My feeling is that these are supposed to be Beth Harmon's bishops. They never cross each other, but they handle the 2 sides of the 2 like different areas of Beth. You have Benny as your dark squared bishop, and you have Towns as the light squared bishop. That's my interpretation, at least. So Beth Harmon is gonna play Beltic, loses or ties. Like I said, I don't really remember. And then we have more of the downward spiral. She's alone in the house that she has now grown up in. Her father like had disappeared for a while and is now coming back, being like, hey, I didn't really care about any of this stuff, but I realized you have a house that's like a value that's technically mine. So I'm going to come back and take the house. And they do this amazing thing where Beth invites him in and he's like, sorry, I'm going to take the house. And she's just like, I'll buy it from you. I'll buy it from you for more than it's worth. It's mine, and I'm never going to see you again. And as they are doing that, the camera on Beth goes to a lower position to make her tall, and the camera on her father goes to a higher position to make him small.
Also pathetic.
Did you ever hear her play?
Of course.
Yes, but did you ever really listen? Alma was not pathetic. She was stuck. There's a difference. She didn't know how to get out of it. Pathetic? Well, I'm looking at pathetic.
showing kind of like the power exchange here. This is a pawn promoting to a queen. This is the power draining from the other side and going to the other due to some well-played moves. There's a bit of like a sacrifice in there of having to spend more money, but in the end, the game is hers. They do a great job explaining, or visually explaining that. Beth Harmon is unsure if she's going to continue with chess. There's like this weird like down period here. As the guy that wanted to just kind of watch chess, this isn't my favorite episode. There's a lot of Beth Harmon dancing in her underwear. Like lots of shots of her butt. Like a lot of sexualization of Beth Harmon. And I don't know if that's meant, like, I felt like it was gratuitous and unneeded. It could be that without chess, she's becoming a person again. But I don't like that read because she's better with chess. Like, chess wasn't ever holding her back. Didn't really enjoy any of this, like, dancing in her underwear thing. She gets drunk and she hits her head. She does reconnect with Jolene. Jolene takes her back to the orphanage because the janitor has passed away. She kind of has a moment of like reflecting on who she was and who made her, why she's the person she is. There's also this weird moment where she meets the person who owns the orphanage and she's kind of like not all there anymore because she's gotten old and kind of like makes a comment of like, Beth, get to class. Like she recognizes her but doesn't recognize where she's at. I don't know why we did that. Like, I don't know why we had to be like, hey, by the way, the person who owned the orphanage, that was cool, having some mental issues. Like, it's not like a victory thing where it's like, oh, she got over she's gotten past that person who had that grip on the orphanage, that mean person that tried to stifle her. She never tried to stifle her. She was very supportive. She was also just running an orphanage. That felt like a weird scene. There's a lot of stuff in this episode where I'm like, where did the show I like go? I understand we had to have like the downfall, but now we're getting built back up. And she ends up going to Paris so that she can have a rematch with Borgolf. We see this thing where everyone from her past starts helping her. Like, she gets into this match with Borgolf, and they run out of time. So I guess there's no chess clock for this. And they adjourn. And you find out that Borgolf is with like a team of people studying the game, trying to figure out the best moves. She then gets a call from Benny. Like, hey, I'm here with the twins and every other person that Noah forgot to mention as an important character in this show. And we're all working as a team. If he moves his bishop, you move your rook. That's the best move. If he tries to attack with your queen, you should pin him this way. So they're all working together. Towns is actually in Paris covering this. So I will say that there is like a bit of a love triangle of like, does she love Harry? Does she love Beltic? Does she actually love Towns? They try to kind of have like sexual chemistry, but it never works out and kind of fizzles away because she loves chess. They have this epic chess game where they're battling back and forth with the love and support of the people she met along the way. The American from Kentucky is able to overthrow the evil Borgolf from Russia, and she wins her final chess battle. And he's cool about it. It's not like she's like, I can't believe this won. She's immediately like, congratulations, you've won. You're the best in the world now. Because everyone in this show is wholesome and cool. There are no villains. Beth becomes the world champion. But instead of like soaking in the fame, she does soak in the fame. She gets lots of pictures, but she really wants to just kind of take a walk and take it in. And she ends up walking down the streets of Paris where she finds a group of people playing chess. Everyone's like, oh my God, Beth Harmon just walked into this little area and just starts playing chess for fun. And that's where the show ends. There is like this constant battle of like Beth using the tranquilizers for her own game. She almost loses to Bolgolf because she overdoes it, and that's why she passed out in the tub. That's the beginning of the show. We also have this weird thing where she might be gay. Like, she does have kind of like an affair with a woman that shows up in the last episode that didn't quite have the lasting impression on me. They also do go a little bit further in explaining what's going on with her mother. Her mother attempted to basically give her to her biological father, and her biological father wanted nothing to do with it, because basically she wanted to end her life not with Beth in the car, but there was no one to take Beth, so she was just like, okay, I guess I guess she's coming with me. Close your eyes, I'm about to smash this car. I guess there could be a little bit of symbolism in, like, if it wasn't for that crash, she wouldn't become the woman that she is today. So it was a bit of a queen's sacrifice. But I don't like that interpretation. In the end, this show is not what I thought it was going to be. Like, this has not a lot of, like, drama to it. Like, I kept waiting for the moment where the savant money-making chess orphan gets exploited by someone. Like, her parents are making money off of her, but she's like real cool about it. There are chess rivals that want to learn from her, but they never like drag her down. No one's ever really sexist towards her. Like, there's a lot of like, oh, she's a woman. Like, oh, they're not going to take you seriously because you're a woman. But any person who does that loses to Beth Harmon and then is like, wow, you're really good at chess. I'm sorry I doubted you. Like, there's never a moment where there's someone's like, how could a woman beat me? She must be cheating. Like, that never happens. We're just like, I was wrong. I learned a lot about gender through this chess match because I underestimated her because she was a woman. Maybe if I took her seriously, I would have won. I've really grown as a person. And, like, that's cool. It's not what I expected. It's just kind of like a way more positive show. Like, other than the death of her mother and the death of her mother, Beth Harmon doesn't really go through a lot of hardship in this show. Like, the next big hardship that she doesn't inflict on herself, because there is the struggle with, like, alcohol and the tranquilizers. The next, like, biggest hardship she goes through is when she loses to Benny, because it's the first time she ever lost. And that invokes a much bigger reaction than the death of her mother does. This is a very interesting show. I really enjoy it. It's just, you know, I went in expecting a gut-wrenching, sad, like, trials and tribulations story with lots of chess, to just kind of almost a popcorn show about a cool girl who's good at chess overcoming the odds without all that much strife. It's fun. It's good. It's just not as bleak as, like, the advertisements make it out to be. Like, there's a lot of saturated tones and, like, intense looks in the advertising, and it's not that. It just isn't. I really enjoyed it. As a chess nut, I really enjoyed it. If you're not super into chess, there's not that much chess in it. You don't see a lot of the battles. Like, it might pique your interest in chess, but it's not, you don't need to be a chess person to enjoy the Queen's Gambit. That being said, I think I would give this a stay doomed in that it's done. Like, this told a complete story. I don't know where you go from here. Like, you could tell the story of Beth Harmon holding the title of the best at chess and, like, the burden of that. But that would kind of undo the ending. Like, there's a Twilight Zone episode where this guy dies and his dream is to play the greatest pool player of all time. And he is playing this pool player, and, like, the pool player realizes that he's starting to lose, so he starts doing, like, schoolboy tricks of, like, coughing while his opponent is trying to play. But in the end, the champion loses. There's a new greatest pool player of all time, and then he now has to hold the burden of defending that for eternity in heaven as the greatest champion. Like, everyone who dies is like, I want to be the greatest pool player, that he now has to go play them. But Beth Harmon's not burdened with holding the title of the best chess player. She wanted to beat Borgov, and does. And her first action after this is, well, now I could just play chess for fun. Like, this isn't John Cena, like, tapping out and, like, accepting defeat. We don't need to see that from Beth. Because in Beth's mind, she did the thing she wanted to do. Now it's just about enjoying things. Like, the journey is over. She can now just be without having to grind. And to then show her, like, with all these people trying to take down the great Beth Harmon, really undoes the themes of the show of, like, having the support net. Like, really, if you tried to make another season of this, it would be someone being trained by Beth to be the best. Because she doesn't need to be the best anymore. She already proved it. She beat Borgov. And at that point, it's not the Queen's Gambit anymore. My biggest criticism of the show is I don't like the title. Like, there is a moment where it's like, when you play Borgov, use the Queen's Gambit against him. And it's just kind of like we're using a chess term rather than really explaining anything. Like, I went into this so expecting that everything was a chess game. Beth would be doing a Queen's Gambit on everyone to, like, it wasn't so much about winning the chess game, it's about winning at life, and this is a gambit and all this other stuff. And I kept trying to impose that. That's why I have the theory about her losing the speed chess to Benny. But overall, I really don't think that's what the show's about. I think the show is just, like, a positive, hey, this girl's an orphan, she's good at chess, and this is what happens. So it's a stay doomed based on the fact that the story is over. It was a good ride. I did really enjoy it, even if it wasn't what I expected. And I think that's going to do it here at Stay Doomed Studios. I hope you enjoyed this light look. Like, this was 7 hours of content boiled down to a 1 hour podcast. This is more similar to what I originally thought this podcast would be, because I used to believe one episode per show. That being said, coming up next will be a 3-part episode on The Quest Season 2, which is completely opposed to what I originally thought this podcast would be, but that's what the people want, so that is what the people shall get. Thank you so much for joining us for another edition of Stay Doomed. If you want to reach out to us, be sure to email us at thestaydoomshow@gmail.com. You can reach me at TV's Noah on Instagram. And until next time, stay doomed.